question, and then you take a breath, and then you're gonna have 3 minutes to do your thing.
Okay, so from what I understand, the question is concerning what would we do to be prepared for the next storm? Okay, so, you know, one of the things that I do for a living currently is I'm an insurance broker and I sell flood insurance, and seeing all the flood claims coming after Sandy, you know, and seeing the preparedness plans that the state of New York did, I was placed on a special panel by Senator Jeff Klein. You know, as you might know, any homes that were affected by the flood had to be elevated, which seems like a ridiculous plan, because how do you jack your house up and lift it up? So, you know, we need to come up with better, secure seawalls, and that's what we're trying to do in Throgs Neck. You know, I was called by a few homeowners on Vincent Avenue, and they said that the streets started to sag because so much water was going in under the streets. And the cars were starting, they came out, they saw their cars sagging into the street. So after reaching out to Assemblyman Benedetto, Senator Klein, Baca, and Crowley, we were able to get them to all come together and agree that the money had been allocated by FEMA. So $1.5 million was allocated. Hopefully that will come around to the city island, and it's probably not enough, but we'll get more of it in. Okay, so...
Wait, you wanna take a break?
No,
All right.
Okay, so
You got
now,
3 minutes.
3 minutes to explain who I am. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is John Serini. I am a child of immigrant parents from Italy. They came over in the 50s, learned to speak English, got high school degrees, started a family. I'm one of 4 children. I'm proud to have the heritage that I have. Came over from the Arthur Avenue section into Throgs Neck. Born and raised there. I met my high school sweetheart, my wife, Grace, in the back of the room. Thank you for all the support that she gives me, and my 4 beautiful children. We currently took over, in 1993, I took over my dad's accounting business, so I'm an accountant by trade. I also am an insurance broker, a real estate broker, and notary public. So I have a wide array of financial expertise, which I know that I can bring into the city council and help with financial situations. I did help Senator Klein balance the budget. I did help Senator Klein lower tax rates in a few instances, so I'm proud of those things. I have, you know, one of my biggest things that I'm fighting is the overdeveloping. You know, one of the things that I want to do is keep, protect, and preserve the community of City Island. You know, we have a nautical character here, and I want to keep that. You know, I don't understand what is the obsession with changing things. You know, we love the way our community is. When my parents bought their house in 1973, they loved the community, and that's why they bought there. But now you see, I just came from another meeting, and I'm sorry for being late, because they're trying to build a 10-story building in the Pelham Bay section, right at the end of the 6th train. You know, we have to stop these things. The contractors are coming in, they're building these monstrosities, they're overcrowding the community, we have no parking yet it is. Our schools are becoming overcrowded. I'm sure that you have the same situation here in City Island. So, you know, something like that. I'm also a business owner. I know the struggles that you go through. I know the chamber has many vacancies. I can help you guys. I can come to the meetings and we can work. One of the things that I think that the city council members should do is reach out to the stores and say, look, this is a great community. You can bring your store in this community. Let's make it vibrant again. Let's diversify the type of stores. This is something the council should do. We definitely need more police. We need better practices. You know, the shooting range. I'm sorry, the shooting range. I can hear it from Pelham Bay where I live. On a good morning when I wake up, I hear it. So I can only imagine how you guys feel about this. It's not right. This is not the quality of life you guys deserve. Now, if I can hear it in Pelham Bay, we have to fix it. We have to soundproof it. I'm sick and tired of hearing from the mayor and the council and everybody else saying, we're going to fix it, we're going to fix it. We have to fix it. It's not that we need to or we want to. We have to fix it. It's not fair to you guys. We also need to get more traffic enforcement on the island. It seems like we only have it during the summertime. It's ridiculous. You guys know that you can't get home and you need to get to your houses. You need to get to work. We need to do something about that. These are things that I'll be committed to. We definitely need to work on our water taxes. I mean, I did some research and I can tell you that in the last 20 years, let me just say this one last thing. In the last 20 years, an astounding number, we have 266% increase in our water bill. Okay, so we definitely need to work on things like that.
This next question is going to go to the body, to all of you guys. What initiatives or networks would you begin to have on a New York City animal shelter started in the Bronx? Did I say that right? I know, hey, whoever, oh, I'm not gonna say who wrote this. I'm not gonna call him out on it. What initiatives or networks?
Hold on, you could call me out on it,
Oh, very,
all right?
yes, ma'am.
We have no organization through animal control or the ASPCA in the Bronx. What initiative or networks will you create to have an animal shelter in the Bronx that serves Bronxites?
Who wants to take, John?
First off, Joanne, thank you. It's a great question. Second off, believe it or not, the animal rights community is very galvanized in the city of New York, and there are a lot of people who feel the way Joanne does. I'm committed, as I'm sure almost every candidate is here, to a full-service animal shelter in the Bronx. We need one. We need to augment our efforts on trap, neuter, release, which can help control that population. We need to make sure the animal shelter is no kill, and we need to make sure, more than anything else, that we're really helping people who might have difficulty affording those animal bills and things along that nature, who may be of a low income or not be able to afford it. We need to help them if we can keep that animal in a safe place, in a safe home. So I'm committed to examining all those things. I plan on your questions about networks. My thing would be to have an animal rights advisory group. I'd love for you to sit on it. And we're going to really start tackling these issues head on. Bernadette Ferrara and many other animal rights people, I've sat down with them, I've met with them, I understand what the concerns are, and I'll be an ally of yours in the City Council.
We had an animal hospital on East Tremont next to the Bronx Zoo area when I was a kid, and it's still public land, still public property. I propose to rebuild it again. And it would be a center point for like a hospital for the animals, and not only the borough, but the other 5 boroughs can network their animals in case of emergency here. I don't know, I was a young kid, does anybody remember the animal hospital on East Tremont next to the, by the bus terminal? You know, I used to go there and, have fun and watch the animals there. So that hospital needs to be brought back. I think we have the funding and the resources, and I think we have the community backing to let City Council know that we need this hospital back in the Bronx. We did have it, but for whatever reason, it was destroyed. So I think all of you in agreement with me, we do need a hospital. It's in the center of the Bronx, East Tremont, over there by the Bruckner Boulevard, and everyone from the Bronx area can network there. Thank you.
Anybody want?
I'll take these. So I have a beagle, and I got a I mean, I love my dog. His name is Knuckles. So when we got the dog, it was a part of a big litter, and my thing was, my kids were like, "Oh, when can we get puppies?" Well, the first thing in my mind was we have to figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen, because my house wasn't big enough to have so many litters. So what I did was I researched, because it's expensive to get your animal either spayed or neutered. So we found an organization called Muffins.org, which does it for like $25. It's important that our community, we love our pets and we need to take care of them, and we need organizations like that, where basically you print the certificate and you go to a local animal hospital. We went to one on Morris Park, and for $25, gave me peace of mind to know that my dog wouldn't get pregnant. I think that our animal community is very important, and unfortunately we see a lot of stray cats. I recently went to Pilot Cove, and I think there must be 50 stray cats running around Pilot Cove. So we need to figure out a way, because while we love the animals, it can cause problems.
I'm feeling rude, like at the last second, so maybe we give, how do we do this, like 10
You don't want to
seconds?
interrupt them and say like, oh, you
What do you guys
Gavel or
prefer?
15
Yeah, you can just do
15
the
seconds, you want a little tap?
Yep.
Yeah, good.
That's perfect.
So it's 30 seconds.
Well, it's a minute.
You only got
All right, 30 seconds.
So, yes, I agree that we need an animal shelter that is staffed with the proper doctors to provide the care and the services for all our pets in our community, all the animals in our community. And I think it's a shame that unfortunately we do have a lot of stray cats, and we do have parents or because they're considered children to some that don't have a place to turn to and to take care of an animal, because I had one. I had a dog, a little mixed Yorkie. It's expensive, and medical bills add up faster and quicker, just like a human. And I think it's important that we provide some sort of services or discounts from either from the state or city, where we can provide vouchers that will allow people to take their pets to get neutered, spayed, or cared for. And especially promote adopting pets versus buying them.
That's time.
Animals are God's creatures, and my two boys have done a great job. They have a cat named Zoe that they call their younger sister. We've done our part. We made history this past legislative budget. First state in the nation to put $5 million into the state budget for shelters. I'm proud of that bill. I'm proud we put it into the budget. This is where you should get excited. You have someone that sees an issue, problems are brought to my attention, collectively we come up with a way to resolve it. This is something that we're morally responsible to do. I'm happy to have done it in the Senate. In the Assembly. I'm going to do a lot more in the City Council.
All right. Lee Beer. Want to ask you a question?
I don't have a card.
Oh, no. That's your question, right?
That's my question. Okay, my question's about zoning control. I'm an engineer, so I'm mostly concerned about what the candidates' positions are on the control of zoning of vacant waterfront properties on City Island. A lot of local- Zoning control. I'm asking what the candidates' positions are on the control of zoning of vacant waterfront properties on City Island. Obviously, we know a lot of our boatyards are vacant, they're being sold to developers, and there's a lot of talk about, developers come in, they are trying to build a maximum amount of units, lots of people, they take over the beach, we end up with a blocked beach, we end up with added traffic, parking. We fight against it all the time here, so I'm just curious what each candidate's positions are on zoning control of some of these properties. Good question.
I appreciate the question. Anyone?
You want to take it?
Okay, I'll take it.
sorry.
I'll lead off. I think it's a great question. I think it's important that we preserve our community. I own a home that was built in 1955. Some of these properties have been here longer than that, hundreds of years. I think we need to preserve it. I think the community needs to have an input in the process of how the zoning changes. The property lines need to be respected. We don't need more or bigger buildings in this community. It's already overcrowded. I don't think there's a need for another high-rise or another condo in this community. And I'm against big developers, and I'm against special interests. And I think that some of my opponents have taken money from some of these developers who want to come into City Island and want to overdevelop City Island. They're not just doing that in City Island, they're doing that across the 13th district. So I definitely respect that and want to preserve the community.
So I just came from a meeting at the Community Board 10 about that building at 3250 Westchester Avenue, and I think this is exactly what we're talking about. We have such a beautiful community in City Island. We need to protect and preserve it and not to allow contractors and developers to come in and profit off of the beauty that we have here. I think that the Community Board today admitted that they're only an advisory board, and that's a shame because we have a community board of people that are volunteering there that want to help keep this community good, but even if they vote it down, it's like the builders can go with their expensive lawyers and just get everything done. So we need to make sure that our community board does have the power that we expect them to have when we do things and vote things down. Because yes, we need to preserve our community. And we can't have all this overdeveloping with these. We knocked down, for instance, in Pelham Bay, they knocked down 5 one-families, they built a 100-family apartment building. It's insane. We cannot keep crushing our community. We cannot house them in the schools. Our police are already short-staffed. We're having a problem with the overdeveloping as it is. We need to slow it down and stop it. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Leah, great question. I wrote down your name because if I ever start a panel, I want you on it. I know it's not a ploy, but whatever. Anyway, listen, guys, there's a lot we can do with respect to zoning. Something that previous council members have done that I would want to continue is I think to hire a part-time urban planner to come on. So where can we do spot rezonings to make sure that we keep a low-density neighborhood? Not just for City Island, although City Island is where I'm from, everyone knows that. But for some of the other neighborhoods, because like John talked about, I stand shoulder to shoulder with him. What's going on in Pelham Bay is totally unacceptable. And a lot of real estate money is pouring into this race, and we all know that's true. I want to fight to protect special district zoning. I would like to break up the Board of Standards and Appeals so we don't have to go down there all the time. I asked Chris Quinn this question. She didn't answer it accurately, even if it means charter revisions to the city charter. We shouldn't have this clearinghouse for special interests in the real estate lobby. I'll fight to change that. Human Scale New York rated that I was probably the candidate to take a look at in this race and that I bring a City Island perspective to zoning. I take that as an enormous compliment. And finally, last thing I want to do, which this group has done an excellent job of, I want to create a kind of an apparatus for a lawyers' council, where what we will do is we will sue sometimes with these overdevelopments, because we take them to court, we win. Thank you.
For 14 years, living on City Island, it felt like I lived on vacation. I enjoyed living here, and I enjoyed the uniqueness and the characterization of this community. I will fight to make sure it remains a low-density development site. This came up on Marshall Parkway after the land use approved an upzoning. We reversed that decision. It went from an R7 and R8 back to an R5, and we prevented further development. So despite the rumors that you may hear, I want to preserve this community. I want to make sure if you don't want development, you won't get development. And we'll empower our community boards to make sure that that happens.
Well, I believe there's a lot of corruption in the community board, the borough presidency, even in the mayor's office. And when you have that enormous amount of corruption and people finding back doors to do development the way they're doing it, it's a hard fight. Now, if your community board, which is the first line of defense, is selling out the community, and they're saying, well, we're only an advisory board, I'm totally against that. I'm sorry to say, we put these people into the community board to defend us and to make sure that the community is preserved. I live in an environment where there's 13 houses. There were old Army barracks, and right behind it there was Shore Drive. And in Shore Drive in the 1960s, they built two big 52-family buildings on the edge of the water. The corruption is here. It's hard to eliminate it. And the next elected official has to be clear, transparent, and honest, and devoted to the community. Look at what we've done in the past, look at who we are, and make a proper judgment when you vote. Thank you.
Before I call the next person to ask a question, I want to commend these guys on staying to time. They're doing really well so far, so let's keep up the good work. Next question, Kathy.
Me?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any other Kathy?
Mrs. Doyle made a proposal at one of the forums for high water rates, stating it should be that if you use over 500 gallons, your cost per gallon would thereafter balloon up. At the average of 100 gallons a day, you would hit the 500 gallons on day 5 of your 90-day water bill cycle, leaving you with 85 days of water usage that pass the 500-gallon mark. That's worse than cell phone overage. My question to all the candidates, what is your plan to address water taxes?
Thank you, Kathy, for misrepresenting my opinion. Anyway, thank you for the question, because water bills are too high, and we need to really do more to address that. My thing, excuse me, got Kathy, you got to ask the question, I get to answer the question. You got to ask
John. Kathy, please, start all over.
What needs to happen here, and what I was getting at in my response, and let's broaden the question here, because I think it's a very important question. We were at a forum with the Throgs Neck homeowners, where seniors living on a limited income. We're talking about that their water bills, despite getting the new water meters, despite conserving, their water bills are going higher. Part of the reason for that is because they're paying for capital construction costs. That's unacceptable. It needs to change. What the city council has done, and this is not anyone's fault who's here, has abdicated leadership responsibility. What they have done is they have given it to a water board, which is raising the rates all the time to pay for that capital construction cost. I want to dramatically change the system. I want to break up the system. I want to make sure that if you are a senior living on a limited income, you do not have to pay more, and that if you conserve, your bill goes down. One proposal I read, which I cited in that thing, was that 500 gallons, which I believe came from the League of Conservation Voters. That's one proposal. Again, I haven't written it up on my website yet. You can go to my website. I have a lot of positions up there. But, however, I am open to working with our colleagues, working with people in the community, and finding out what the right rate would be. So thank you very much.
So one of the things that I first said when I was introducing myself is the New York City Water Board in the last 20 years has taken a 266% increase on our water bills. Meanwhile, in the last year, they've taken for their administration a $6 million raise for their administrators. So it's crazy to think of how every year it compounds. They take 4%, 8%, 14% in 2009. It just keeps going up and up and up, and they're taking more money for their pockets. We have to make sure that these rates start to drop. We cannot be the only borough that is constantly getting these increases. And, you know, besides the real estate, the water and sewer tax, which is a huge problem, we have the real estate tax. While Mayor de Blasio is only paying $3,100 on his $1.6 million brownstone, we're paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Our borough is being charged too much. We have to stop them from dumping on the Bronx. That's what we have to say.
Mayor de Blasio, when he ran for office, he promised that he was going to lower water rates. He lied. And it's just not the seniors. All homeowners are paying too much for water. Your water bill is more expensive than your fuel bill. When I get to City Hall, I promise you, as he does now when he sees me, the vein on his neck pops out because I bring it to his attention. He lied, he misled us, and the rates continue to go up. And we'll talk about real estate taxes. I'm sure that comes up next. I'll make sure that they stay steady and continue to go down.
I think it's appropriate that I follow Mark, because Mark didn't tell you that he endorsed Mayor de Blasio recently for re-election. So as much as he says that he's going to keep it real with Mayor de Blasio, he's actually friends of de Blasio. So I think I'm going to hold him to that if he does win. I mean, the truth is, the system doesn't work. It's corrupt. It's not benefiting the people who actually pay the taxes. There was a recent report that your property taxes are being charged without someone actually coming to the property to look at it. So how is it possible that the city and the state are allowing this to happen? So think about who you want to vote for your next city council member. Because if you voted or endorsed de Blasio, I don't think you would want them to represent you in City Hall this time.
As a homeowner, when I opened up my water bill, I noticed that there was a $150 surcharge for having the water hose connected to the pipe. And I thought that was incredible. And I didn't know, how to defend myself. I called the Vaca's office, and they were still waiting for a phone call back. And it seems that all the politicians that come here and promise and promise and promise, at the end of the day, we end up paying higher taxes, water bills, sewer. We don't get the services that we get. We need to stop electing the same old type of politicians to do the same old work. They run it with county, they run it with the borough president and other members of the council, and they do not represent our interests. It's unfortunate that we have to pay so much money for all of these services, and we don't get the services at all. Thank you.
Okay, we have our last candidate. She's late, but not for a good reason. For a good reason. Thank you, Wilbur. Come introduce yourself. You will answer the question.
So answer the question.
And then you'll
first,
have
then
3 minutes.
the introduction. All right, so
Yeah.
if you would, I'll stop the question, and then you tell me when I can start the intro so we can time it. Hi, everyone. My name is Marjorie Velasquez, and the question's regarding the water bills. And so what we're looking at, what has been discussed before, is a water rebate that was owed to us, that unfortunately, there was a court case against us by a lobbying group called RSA. and they are a special interest group protecting landlords. And this is dangerous to us, right? Because our needs as homeowners were not met because the special interest group took over and decided to say they are more important than us. And that's what we gotta fight against. And as a city council member, I would join back and say, give us this rebate. I don't care if you want to represent the landlords, it's not their turn. I'm sick and tired of them getting the benefits, the 1%. It's us, the homeowners that suffer. It's our taxpayer dollars, and we don't get these credits, and we deserve it, and we deserve more. And that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to be your voice. And so, with that, I'm done with that question. Go ahead.
Yep, right on time. Now you can have 3 minutes.
All right, so good evening. My name is Marjorie Velasquez. I am a Democrat running for City Council in District 13. I am currently endorsed by Councilmember Vaca, Councilmember Richie Torres, and from the labor groups at CWA, DC 37, and the Teamsters, with a whole bunch of other local community groups and some other labor, but it doesn't mean anything. To me, it means a lot to me that I have my family support, because they came here from Puerto Rico, and they fought really hard to give me and my siblings a better life. That meant going to public schools. That meant going to St. Catherine's, and ultimately going to NYU Stern, where I took up accounting and finance. That led me to a career at DirecTV Latin America, where I managed the books of 16 different countries. And what that means is that budgetary knowledge, I want to bring it back to the City Council. Someone who really knows numbers and can fight for us here and say, no, we're the forgotten borough. And I'm sick and tired of that. And I'm going to hold people accountable, because that's what I did at DirecTV. Unfortunately, my time at DirecTV was cut short. I went through 2 accidents and 7 surgeries, countless years in this healthcare bureaucracy. It really inspired me to give back. Because you know what? Here I am, bilingüe. I can speak Spanish like nobody's business, but have access to lawyers and doctors, and yet I was still stuck. I had my setbacks. And how about people who don't have that same access? And that's what I'm fighting for. And I decided to join the community board. I am the treasurer there now. I also ran for district leader, which I am now. And also, I decided to launch a group called Bronx Women United. It keeps women civically and politically engaged, and it's about giving voice. That's what I'm fighting for. And where we're looking here in City Island, as I've been knocking on doors here, it's listening to the concerns of traffic, the congestion that happens during the holidays and during the summer. It's the overdevelopment that has been giving us these headaches, and it's stopping that. It's making sure that what we're listening to is the community first. It's also making sure that our transit system is working for us. It's not fair that we have a bus service that does not run 24 hours here. And we don't have a ferry service that we deserve, because Councilmember Vaca did issue that study, and he requested that study, and yet we don't have that. Some of you has that. I'm fighting the mayor on that, and we deserve that priority number 1. And when we're looking at our children, making sure that we have the same resources that the students in the city do. Because you know what? It comes to us first. And that's what I'm fighting for. And I would appreciate your support and your vote on September 12th. Thank you.
Lois, I'm gonna, hope I get this name back. Wag?
Yeah, way.
Way. Wow. W-A-G-H. All right. That makes sense.
That's my question.
Ask your question, ma'am.
Okay, so, I don't have it in front of me, but.
Want to read it?
Recently in the Smithsonian Magazine, they talked about re-energizing the maritime areas throughout New York City. Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and a little bit in the Bronx. What happened to City Island? What resources are you gonna bring to City Island to maintain the maritime flavor, the quaint island that it has been for years, and to optimize the assets that we have as a maritime history of our island, and of course the Nautical Museum. So, what are you going to do to bring to optimize that asset?
Well, first of all, I'm a boater. I have my boat here on City Island. I dock it here every year, and I enjoy coming to the island to learn about boating and all the rules of boating. I am a Coast Guard Flotilla member, auxiliary of 5-2, here in the Drosnick area. So I'm the only candidate who understands the need to rebuild the nautical. I also would sponsor an outside not-for-profit called Rock the Boat. They're based on Hunts Point. And I want to bring Rock the Boat here and to Throsneck and to other parts